is up, YouTube land? We have a new game for you today.
We're here of Harmony of Dissonance, or the much better Japanese title, wait, what is the Japanese title? It's something Midnight Sun.
Azu. Yeah, I forget what the Japanese
it's
one.
something...
Akumojo Dracula?
Yeah, it's Akumojo Dracula, but it's something of the Midnight Sun, which I think is a much better title.
That sounds good. Yeah, Harmony of Dissonance is a really bad title, especially considering there's Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, and then there's also the Xbox 360 Live Arcade one, which was like Harmony of Despair, maybe?
Yes. There being two HODs is horrible, so a lot of people just call Harmony of Despair CVHD, just because it's the first HD 2D Castlevania.
That's fair.
Anyway, we're doing a hard game playthrough of this. Your pretty standard stuff. Enemies do 2 times damage, bosses have more HP, but I don't know if it's 2 times HP, and that's about it. But this game is already pretty hard, and hard mode is extra hard. Who would have figured?
Literally hard game.
Yeah, and if we did it right, then Dracula will do a little voice clip.
Yep. 50 years have passed since Simon Belmont vanquished the curse of Dracula. Fate has dictated that Juste Belmont, blood descendant of the Belmont family, hunt for the relics of Dracula. One day, Juice's best friend, Maxim, who had set out on a training expedition 2 years earlier, returned unexpectedly, his body covered with wounds. He informs Juice that Liddy, a childhood friend whom they both deeply care about, has been kidnapped. Maxim has completely lost his memory of his time training away from home and only has a vague image of the kidnapping. Ignoring his bodily injuries, Maxim leads Juice to the place where he believes Liddy is being held captive. Passing through thick fog, the two men happen upon a castle undocumented on any map. Could this be the fabled Dracula's castle? Standing solemnly in the night, this forbidding castle welcomes its unexpected guests as the moonlight shines upon it.
So the longest time I thought Juice's name was pronounced like Justy or like Justo. When you defeat Maxim at the very end of the game. Spoilers! He says Justo in Japanese, because that's how they say it.
That's pretty cool. So this... is this the third one on GBA?
No, this is the second one.
This is the second one, okay. So this is... I'm going to be honest with you folks. The worst of the GBA Castlevania games, in my opinion. I played all 3 of them probably a couple months ago. And Aria of Sorrow, which is the third one, is like better in literally every way. Doesn't mean this is a bad game.
So the reason why I decided to do this game, first I just wanted to do some sort of Castlevania. This is the game of the GBA trilogy that I have overlooked the most, as most people have. This game is a Belmont game, so obviously it's whip only, but even compared to Circle of the Moon, which is also a whip only game, you have much less options at your disposal. I mean, Circle of the Moon has the card system, which has literally 100 combinations, and this game at max has 36 combinations. But I played this game a lot the last couple weeks, and I really like this game now. It's not perfect or anything, but I think I like it more than the Circle of the Moon now.
Interesting.
The reality of the GBA and the, actually any of the Metroidvanias, is that they're kind of all flawed in different ways. This game is not perfect, obviously. This game is very floaty. Like, you can see that Juice, like, jump is so floaty. And there's something about the controls. Like, you can do short hops to a certain extent, but once you get past, like I let go of the button way sooner than that full jump. But once you go past, like, half a jump, you do a full jump no matter what. So this game just feels really floaty at the beginning. But once you get, like double jump and, like, some of the other movement options, like, the movement in this game is amazing. But it almost feels like you have to, like, sort of, like, cheat to, like, work against its programming. Because naturally this game, like, the whip is kind of... It's not slow, but it doesn't have a lot of, like, range. And Juice is kind of floaty. especially when you're doing like aerial combat. He can only do one whip in the air. It just kind of feels weird, but once you get used to it, and especially once you exploit like the game's mechanics, I think this game gets really fun. But in the beginning, especially on hard mode, I gotta play this safe.
Makes sense. The hard mode, is there any like specific rules for it? Like it's X hard, like more damage, or?
I think it's just the enemies definitely do 2 times damage, and I don't think like normal enemies have their HP buff, but bosses definitely do. I'm just not sure how much. I actually tried to look this up, but this game has very little documentation because no one cares about this game, so it's kind of like hard to figure it out.
Is Juiced in any other Castlevanias, like main series Castlevanias?
He makes a very minor, like, cameo in Portrait Ruin.
Gotcha. So it's weird that I've been watching the new Castlevania series on Netflix. I think it's called Nocturne. I think that's the subtitle. And Juiced shows up to be like a fairly main character, like halfway through. So it's interesting that they would go that route after Trevor being the main character in the first series. I wonder who this guy is. Question mark.
I wonder.
Then Richter's the main character in Nocturne, and Juiced is Richter's grandfather.
Yeah, this game takes place 50 years after Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 2, I guess. And it takes place about 50 years before Rondo of Blood. So it's sort of a weird middle ground. And in fact, the plot of this game is that, like, Dracula is dead, and, like, this incarnation of Castlevania, like, the manifestation, is very odd because of what Maxim did.
I will say, the Castlevania animes, I really, really like them, and one of the main reasons is Dracula's castle is essentially not a thing. I think in the first series he, like, is in a castle. Like, that's where he lives, but it's not like, oh, Dracula's castle, we gotta, you know, go, like, do whatever. And it just shows a lot of the stuff that's going on in, like, the real world at the time. Like, the fact that there's just, like, all these random creatures and vampires dealing with normal humans, like villagers, stuff like that. I really, really like that, personally. I know it's, like, a more boring game premise. You know, it's tough to be like, hey, be Trevor and go save a bunch of villagers or whatever. But I really like it for building the general world building, you know?
Yeah. Once you get to the DS reunions, if they ever do a DS collection, Order of Ecclesia, like, half the game is outside the castle. In fact, Dracula's castle isn't even, like, manifested until, like, you unlock the true ending.
Yeah, I really have no problem with Dracula's castle. I will always make it clear that I prefer the older style to Metroidvania, just because I like the more just concise. There's no leveling, so it's all about just pure skill. Although clearly I played all 3 of these GBA games like within like a month of each other, so clearly I don't dislike them. Castlevania 4 is a great example of you're not in Dracula's castle till like 10, 12 stages in, and then like you're at Dracula's castle, and his castle's like, I don't know, 4 stages of it, you know? There's something about that that's really cool to me. Like, starting outside the castle and moving from there. Whereas games like this, it's like, it's just, the whole thing's the castle.
Yeah, they do it obviously because of, they want to make it more of like a Metroid game.
Of course.
It's way easier to do it because of that. But then they started more experimenting with it, with Portrait Ruin having the 8 portraits, and Order of Ecclesia not even having Castlevania until the game is half over.
Right. Right, and I really like the fact that they started to do that. It's just nice to see the differences, you know.
So I'm using Ice Axe. Ice Axe is my favorite, like, early game sub-weapon combo with the Ice Book. It takes very little MP. It does pretty good damage. It is very useful against both bosses and regular encounters, and especially on hard mode, I find that regular encounters just, like, This game is very labyrinthine, more than any other Castlevania, with a lot of like dead ends and like. It's just a very weirdly designed castle.
Is this the one with Castle A and B?
Yes.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the. So for the 200%, I forget if it's exactly 200%, but in Symphony of the Night, it was the normal castle and the inverted castle, and this is Castle A and B. And I find that there's not enough differences between A and B to make it super, super worth it. Again, just me personally there.
I originally thought that, and I still sort of agree with it. But the conceit of this game is, spoilers, Maxim did some bad stuff. He was angry that Juice got the vampire killer and was kind of like the preferred pupil. There's also some undertones of like him also liking his childhood GF Lydia or Lide, however you pronounce it. So he left for 2 years to do some sort of training, but what he actually did is he gathered all of Dracula's remains, just like in Castlevania 2, but things didn't go awry, and like some of his consciousness got like taken over by Dracula's like essence, and that's why it manifested Castlevania. And that's why there's two castles, because it's sort of like honestly, the main character of this game is more Maxim than Juiced. Because it's more about, like, him losing the battle against Dracula's possession. And I think it's a really cool idea. And I think the reality is that if this game didn't have two castles, it'd be very short. Like, the castle in this game is very small. And because I ended up really liking this game's mechanics, I know this game looks kind of, like, slow, but once I unlock, like, Double Jump and some other, like, books, this game gets really, really fun.
I also like the dash, which is not present in
the
Aria, I don't think.
The dash makes this game playable.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would be way too slow.
And this game also has, like, the double jump unlocks the dive kick just like the other Castlevanias, but in this game it is lightning fast. Oops.
He's blown through this pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm like half being careful. Like I could play this a lot more dangerously, but I could die very fast.
Once you get to the...
Another infamous thing about this game is that it has next to no iframes when you get like hurt. Ooh. So you can just get like stun looped in a corner against like a boss or even just like a regular enemy all the time.
Yeah, it's fairly standard until you get to the point where you unlock the B castle. And then there's, as you could imagine, there's a lot of times where you're like at a dead end and you're like, what do I do? And then you have to go do something in the B castle to unlock something in the A castle, or back and forth. Okay. I use that one a lot.
I think the ice cross is complete garbage. It's not like the worst thing ever. There's definitely worse ones. But I do not like it.
Pretty straight.
Especially early game, I'm not going to be using the axe that much. Like, after I defeat the third boss and get the double jump, I'm not going to be using the axe the rest of the game. But it is a very good starter weapon. So I'm purposely not saving this game. So one thing about this game is that the save room here, the quick save, unlike all the other Metroidvanias, this is just a full-on save. You save all your experience, you save all the items you picked up, you save all your map progression. So what you want to do if you want to really blitz through this game is to kind of plan out your saves to use more as like a warp than a save room, because you can just save whenever you want. If you're about to die, just save. All the other Castlevanias are nothing like this. Either quick saves like immediately suspend your game, or it just starts you in like the room that you saved. So the quick save in this game is god tier. Hey, we should investigate this creepy place separately. How convenient.
Let's split up, gang. I don't care if I'm ever in a place where it's like unfamiliar and also like potentially like dangerous. I understand they do it because, you know, it's not a two-player game, but I would absolutely be like, yes, let's all stick together. Oh, but we'll cover more area. Yeah, we'll both die separately. Sounds great. That's one thing that I never agree with. All the movies and shows and games that do that.
So if I can get this time the whip right, he staggers back every 4th hit, so I can just stun loop him like this. But you can see I messed up one and let the whip go slack for a second, and that's why it didn't work. But I am so underleveled that I'm only doing 9. Usually when I get to the boss I start doing 11, but I'm probably like literally like 1 XP from doing 11.
I can't wait for it to say excellent to me.
No, I did too early.
Excellent.
You can get cool, but that's not as good as excellent.
Rip.
Man, I want double jump so bad. The movement gets so much better.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Bloodstained. Once you get all the really fast movements in there, man, that game is just
it gets really good. Yeah, of the GBA Vanias, I probably also like Aria the best still. But Aria's main problem is that it is ridiculously easy. And unlike, like, Symphony of the Night is my favorite, which is the easiest in the series, for sure. But the thing is, Symphony of the Night has amazing movement tech in terms of, like, bat wing smashing and, like, just everything you can do in that game. So that game becomes more about, like, how you can optimize and, like, speedrun, more than, like, how hard it is. Because Symphony of the Night is definitely the easiest. But Aria of Sorrow is, like, almost as easy as Symphony of the Night, but it does not have nearly the amount of cool, like, fun stuff you can do in Symphony. So that's why I'm not, like, the hugest... I still really like Aria. But, like, this game is, like, 10 times harder.
Circle of the Moon is probably the hardest of...
Circle of the Moon is also very hard.
It's probably the hardest Metroidvania one. I didn't fully play the DS ones, but Circle of the Moon is tough. Especially, I believe Circle of the Moon's the one that has the...
Alright, first warp. You can soft reset with start, select, A and B, so that's quite nice.
Circle of the Moon's the one that had the arena, if I remember correctly, and that is so... I know it's like a bonus thing, but that is so hard.
It's so hard, but it's also like, when you go through the arena, it's like, you get to the rooms where it's like, would you like to fight 8, like, Shadow Armors at once? It's like, no sir, I do not.
Yeah. I did get 100%
it's like
on all 3 games, so I eventually did it.
Yeah. But it's like 8 Shadow Armors in a horizontal room with no platforms. Okay, have fun.
I think Circle of the Moon's also the game where... Is that the one where once you get 10 levels over an enemy, you only get 1 experience for everything you defeat?
I'm not sure.
This one?
It's definitely this one. I'm not sure if it is...
I'm probably thinking of this one, because this one really frustrated me, because...
I don't have the red stone. I'm gonna go get that real quick.
When I wanted to,
yeah.
How do you say? When I wanted to, like, power level,
I had to go
out of my way to power level, which was really annoying in this game. I get it, like, that you shouldn't be able to power level off easy enemies, but if a skeleton normally gives you 10, and then you're 10 levels over it, why would it, like, suddenly give you 1? You automatically need a lot more experience to level up to begin with.
Symphony does it too. It's almost exactly the same as this game, where once you get to level 50, basically everything gives you 1, and Symphony is the exact same way. Okay, so I was wondering why I was doing so little damage. I literally just forgot to get the redstone. That's okay, I didn't die.
No! What are you doing now?
I'm going, I have the...
No, I meant, like, damage. I guess it went from, like, 10 to 14.
It's up 2, but redstone is fire element, so anything that's weak to fire, it's going to do double damage, or some sort of damage multiplier. I'm not sure exactly how it works. But, like, when I was fighting, I think it was, like, the rock armors, I was like, man, I'm doing no damage. What's going on? Actually, it was the giant skull. And, like, I was internally thinking, like, what did I do? Oh, did I go the wrong way?
No! You got extra experience, though.
When you're LPing and you have to talk Just can't pay attention.
It's literally all over. The speedrun is ruined.
It is over forever.
Delete the channel. But I can't. I wanna conserve server space for Google.
Yeah, Pearl Google.
I really like using their server space. I like having, what do we have, like 2,500 videos up. I think that's funny. Even if it only costs Google like a couple bucks, I think it's hilarious.
YouTube has always notoriously been a non-profitable platform for Google, and it's definitely because of channels like us. We're 1,000% sure. And I don't feel bad at all.
Google Dude, there's some people, like, if you've ever seen, well, YouTube videos about, like, weird YouTube channels, there's some channels that, like, if you look at us and you're like, oh, all their videos usually get, like, I don't know, like 50, maybe 100 views, if we're lucky kind of thing. There's a lot of people who put up, like, 4, 5, 6 videos a day. I mean, they're going to be short and get, like, literally 0 views. And these channels will have, like, thousands of videos and, like, essentially no subscribers, no views. And I'm like, dude, you do you. That's whatever helps you, you know, whatever works for you kind of thing.
So coming up as a Feather Demon on hard mode, this thing can one-shot me, but I want this HP up. Oh, God. No!
My God.
Of course it used the one move. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Oh, yeah, just weird channels. Like, there are just so many, like, channels where it's, like, someone with a webcam from, like, 2005. And I'm talking, like, recent videos. But still using, like, that technology, sitting there and just, like, blabbering on absolutely nothing. You know, putting up 5, 6 videos a day. And you're like, you go, guy. You literally make it that YouTube is non-profitable. And I don't care.
Yeah,
that's
who cares?
Fine. In fact, I think there should be more channels like that. Or, like, the people who,
Because it's not like Google's going to run out of money. Like, Google, just like Microsoft, they make infinite money off of Windows, and Google makes infinite money off of advertising, so even if YouTube's unprofitable, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're not going to sell it. Who's going to buy it? Amazon?
Yeah, I guess that would be, like, the only choice. Or the people who upload 10-hour YouTube videos. Like, they'll be like, Scott the Waz saying, hey, y'all, Scott here for 10 hours or something like that. And I'm like, that's simply too based for this world. I hate these enemies.
So these enemies are really annoying. Once they start, of course they're not doing it. Thank you, dog. Once they start jumping, they don't stop jumping. Start jumping. Once they start jumping, then you don't... Man, I'm doing so little damage. Of course this is happening.
There's talks about, speaking of big companies buying big companies, there's talks of, like, Disney, like, just wanting to, like, sell, whether it's, like, off, like, their IPs or just be, like, completely bought by another company. And you just get to the point where you're like, okay, who can do that?
Yeah.
You know, like, Disney's obviously doing very bad for the past 3 or 4 years. Mostly because of their own fault and being dumb. Which, just search Disney is doing bad and you'll find a million people talking about it. But it's like, who purchases it? And, like, the 2 answers that, like, people have come up with is, like, Apple, which makes sense if they wanted it, and, like, literally, like, Saudi oil barons. And I'm like,
Yeah, like, literally Saudi Arabia has been, like, investing heavily in, like, weird stuff.
Well, like, apparently there's, like, an oil baron who is, like, sincerely interested in buying, like, Star Wars, because somehow he has, like, $5 billion or whatever it is, right? Although, I guess that's what George Lucas sold it for. It would be less now, obviously, since they, like, ruined it. And, like, he wants to buy it because Star Wars is like too woke and stuff, and it's like, okay, just wait till Trevor beats this. Yes. So it's like, okay, you think Star Wars is too woke, which is fine. That's a fine opinion, and an answer is to sell it to like a Saudi Arabian who's gonna do the exact opposite and be like, instead of like girl boss, it'll be like, this woman will be subservient to her husband.
Yeah.
This woman will be subservient to her husband.
And
it's
you can
like,
only see her eyes.
It's like, how about both are like bad? Where's the middle ground where like Princess Leia was cool and did cool stuff and kind of had an attitude, but that was fine.
And you're finding out why the world sucks, because there's no middle ground anymore.
Yeah, no, there really is not.
It's either unrealistic, boring Mary Sue characters or literal misogyny.
And
like the not Twitter kind, the actual kind.
Yeah, like literal. I'm sorry for our Saudi Arabian viewers, all 0 of you, but I don't agree with your general. Can I just say anything?
Yeah.
That new movie, The Marvels, just came out, and this may surprise you, but it's not doing well. Yeah, it's not doing well. And what's her name? Captain Marvel, who's literally like literally the Goku of Marvel, but without any weaknesses. Because like Goku at least is like kind of dumb, and also like way too forgiving. Yeah, like that's his biggest fault, right? Like he's way too trusting and forgiving, right? Like that's his biggest flaw.
Yeah, and he also is like, he loves fighting to the detriment of like everyone in existence. Right. Sometimes it works out like sparing Vegeta, and then sometimes it does not.
Oh, like, dude, this part took me so. Oh, I was so mad at this. So I did not realize I had to do this until way late in the game when I was really overleveled. So to make him fall.
Oh, you were just killing it all the time?
Yeah. So I had to really try over and over again and have to get him to the way end. Because I wanted, you don't super need this, but I wanted 100%, and I was like, how do I move this guy without killing him? I like unequipped everything, but yeah, he was dying in like 2 or 3 hits, and I was like, what do I even do? But yeah, just to finish off on the thing, Captain Marvel's like Goku without like any weaknesses.
Yeah, I never watched the movie, cool. And I never will, but I hear that Captain Marvel's like villain could have been like dispatched at any time, and like Captain Marvel just decided not to for some reason.
Yes.
But like when she decided to, like, then it was just like, oh, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean that's really good like story writing in general. Like I like stories where like Goku could have defeated Frieza at any time, but he was like, nah. And also that's something that a hero does, right? Like a hero would just the only time that's acceptable, and there's probably examples that I'm just like not thinking of off the top of my head, is if there's like a hero type character and he lets a villain live just to like toy with them, and the villain goes out and like kills someone, and then the hero learns from it, or like it like affects him. Like there's probably a Batman story of that. Like Batman.
That's Batman's entire MMO. Like the villains kill people, but he is like moral bound to not kill them, despite it be better if he did it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, like Joker in a lot of stories is like, you should kill me, and Batman's like, no, I refuse.
And then he just
and then Joker's just like, okay, I'll kill 1 million people, and he just does.
Literally hundreds of people.
Yep.